Welcome back in, everybody, to a Monday Overreaction Monday edition of Birds 365. Joined now by Chris Franklin from NJ.com. Chris, welcome to the show, man. How you doing on this Monday morning?
I'm doing not too bad. I thought, otherwise than hearing about something that happened, right, the game was about ready to end or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know. Something happened.
Chris, you and I were talking about after the game. We should be talking about and writing about a crappy Eagles win. Certainly not aesthetic, but a win is a win. Instead, we're talking about the head coach and that one man show that debuted that I didn't know, but I had good seats for it. So at least there's that. Your thoughts on the performance of the Nick Sirianni show?
What was that? What was that the critic? What was that show that it stunk? Like I just thought at the time you just didn't need to. Like I understand being involved emotionally into a game. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's a lot of preparation, a lot of work. These guys stay away from families, what have you. I get that. It comes to the time when if you've been admonished for it beforehand, especially in the city, how fans can get sometimes in the city. It can get a little rough, especially if you're not doing as well. I understand that, but that's their way of trying to make you better in terms of that. Even if you get baited with it, you can't go into it. You just gotta move on. I understand he said he wants to be himself. He wants to do that. You can be yourself, like I saw the jaw and stuff like that. If you want to jaw with the other players, go for it. I saw that happen. Like when
Which
we
he
was used
did,
somewhere with
and
that.
that
There, yeah,
that's fine.
they're used to that. Not when it comes to the fan base. I thought that was still not even. I'm taking it way beyond the national. Too. If you want to do it to opposing fans, just because that would do like happened in Kansas City. I don't agree with it, but at least do that. Not your own fans that are right behind you, because so a lot of season ticket holders will be right behind them again. Next home game when they play the Jaguars, will be right behind them again, trying to chirp again. If that's the same people.
Yeah, yeah. Don't do the Hulk Hogan ear cup
Oh,
when they're saying fire Nick. But I get it. I get the frustration as well. Um, how do you think it went over in the organization? Because to me, that's the biggest problem Nick has. Like, it doesn't matter what whomever on ESPN is saying Nick's a clown this morning, or that doesn't matter. What matters is, Jeffrey Lurie, it's he both wants to win on the football fan, but it's also a business to him. And he wants, he probably doesn't want his head coach taunting his own fans after a win. That would be my my guess. I haven't talked to Jeffrey, but that would be my guess.
yeah, I don't think, especially after you see the reports about beforehand heading into the season, they wanted some of that stuff to stop, and to see it happen, I don't think it went over too highly. I think the win helped cool some of it down, but I don't think it went over very well at all. Like and to see them do that, especially now if say this team finishes 9-8, wins a playoff game, and then not even that, like say they finish 9-8, and you're looking at the whole entire picture here, and then say it's dividing line, like, well, we saw some stuff with the offense, the defense wasn't good. Do you fire him? And then stuff like this is going to be brought up. Like this is what people think on the outside. He's not making friends. He came after our own fan base a little bit, start talking to them a little bit. Maybe that's the one that pushes it over to go, okay, move on from here. So I don't think it helped. I don't think it helped his case at all. So the best thing he can do to move past this is to keep winning, to try not to put himself in that situation.
I tell you what, maybe the front office doesn't like it, but it certainly seems like some of the players are not only do they not mind it, but some of them almost it seems like they asked for him to do more of it. I mean, did you see Brandon Graham's quote about it? Nobody knows about the Philly fans more than me. Be yourself and make them eat their words. That's what Nick did yesterday. The Philly fans boo him left and right. They call for him to get fired, and he claps back. So maybe the front office has an issue with it, but I wonder if there's a disconnect between them and not only Nick, but the players in the locker room who seem to have told Nick to embrace who he is and be more of that. Brandon Graham said, we need 22 Nick back. Jalen Hurts said he wants him to be himself. I mean, those are two leaders, bona fide leaders on the football team telling him to be himself. Maybe Nick is riding for his guys,
See, part of me feels like it's almost like seeing the professor. You're in the class, and it's getting towards the end, and you're all drinking beers. It's like, you got to drink the beers. And when you see the professor joins into it, oh, wow, look at this is cool. You see it, and then after a while, it's like, oh, okay, they got that temporary bumps going away. I look at it when it comes to him, it's like if he did it consistently throughout the whole entire time, and then it comes to a fact like you start to question, you guys can only be motivated if you're acting like that, which you look at self motivation, you start looking at other things too. But he can be himself. He you know he's going to be this way. You know he's going to be him now. So that's the thing. It's like if you're going to go down this road, you better make sure it works, and that's the main thing on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The positive is, I mean, if you look at the upcoming schedule, there's a chance to win some football games. So I think, as you pointed out, that cures everything. And we've talked about the NFC North. The best sport teams in football might be in the NFC North. And what that means is they're going to beat the shit out of each other in the upcoming weeks because they have to start playing each other. And I'm exaggerating a little bit because Chicago's probably not, but everybody else looks like a legit contender. In Detroit, they lost. What a horrible injury to Aiden Hutchinson, but man, they're playing well overall. The Eagles, everybody lost. Washington lost. Dallas was destroyed by the Lions. The Giants looked atrocious again offensively. And guess where? The Eagles get to face Daniel Jones and the Giants in that offense this upcoming week. You win another 2016 game and win another 2016 game and win another 2016 game against Jacksonville. And everybody's happy.
And then we'll hear the identity. This is a gutsy team that does it when the time that we'll hear the narrative's going to change completely. It really is. It will, because in a way, this stretch kind of reminds me of 2021, where they ended. And you look at that schedule, everybody's like, "Well, they'll go on a run," and they did. And then the ending can't say it. Almost reminds me of the same thing where you see these guys, you can see them making a run. And I think the best thing for them, at this point, the way Minnesota's playing, the way that Seattle's playing. Well, they lost the last couple days, but like San Fran's lurking around there too. And Tampa Bay, that's what I really meant. Tampa Bay, I don't know what's going on. So the way to do this, I think the one seed's out. It's the way this team's playing and everything else. I think the one seed's out. This team needs to finish 3 or better. There's no way, because you go 4, you got to play one of those North teams and get luck at that. Even with 3, you still have a chance playing with one of them against one of them. It ain't feel good. At least a 3 or high. They have to finish a 3 or higher. Otherwise, you'll get, because if they lose in the wild card round, I think that's another signal that there's going to be changes made. So it's almost like a all or nothing at this point right now for it. Just go for board and try to win as many games as possible.
Chris, what about football?
By the way, real quick before, I'm sorry, Zander. I'm watching the Nick Sirianni clip yelling at fans. And for the first time, I just noticed Brandon Graham is just smiling.
Yeah, cracking up.
And Nick Yates as well.
Like it, dude.
Nick Yates is having the time of his life. He's not even dressed. So I would just add that into the context, which, everybody seemed to be enjoying it on the sidelines. So
he probably saw it, because Gates probably saw like Dable was like, Dable didn't do this. I never seen him do that before. Like, he'll just go, and I was like,
yeah. And CJ's there as well. CJ had some really nice things to say about Nick Sirianni after the game.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. CJ to defend the coach, whether you like the antics or not. You want to see people. You want to see him be a unit. Chris, your takeaways from the football perspective. We'll start with the Eagles' offense. I mean, how much can you take from that game? I take turnover-free football for Jalen Hurts. Thought he made some good decisions in there. I liked what I saw from him yesterday, and obviously you get back A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and you see what kind of impact that has. But what are your takeaways offensively from that game?
I thought that was the whole thing revolves around. That's going to be the tougher side of the ball, the way that the defense, because with the Browns, it's the defense that carries that team. We saw what happens offensively with them. And I thought they did very well in terms of blitz and putting pressure on them. And we know Jim Johnson, I think, especially his time with Hurts for that one season, and then seeing the film and everything from the successive seasons afterwards, was going to bring pressure. He really was. And then when you look at the way that Jalen Hurts handled it, I thought he did a good job. I look at the run game. I saw that was a little bit. The only thing I see with this offense that kind of has me worried, well, it doesn't have me worried, that's kind of fast, is when you look at their early down production and the predictability when it comes to the early downs too. Because after they tried those first, I'll say the first like few plays, they started trying to do fades and everything on the outside. They started running, but almost like every first down was almost a run, and you always knew that. And then the Browns adjusted, and they get that, and they put them behind the sticks and make them third longs when it came to that. The team needs to do a lot better job on first down and second down. Even just get 5 yards in those two combination of those two downs, and all of a sudden you open up your whole playbook, and you should be able to get 5 yards with this offense no matter what. So I think that's a concern for me going forward. Their production on the early downs, but otherwise, looking at everything, and then injury wise. You need Jordan, especially next week, against that Giants the defense, that's their strength too. Looks like Mailata is going to be, unless there's some kind of saying, oh, it's just a strain. Like if that, they say that's a strain, I'm running to get a Powerball ticket right now because I know they got lucky on that one too. But I'm worried about
Did
the
you see the
Mailata
video?
injury.
Did you see BLG got video of him on crutches? It did
Yeah.
I
not.
got to,
It didn't look
and
good.
the thing the fact he was able to sit down on the type of crutches he had, I was impressed by those crutches. Jeez,
Yeah.
that's a big dude. He's sitting there like chilling around, like what the heck is that? But yeah, to see him, not that I'm at the very least, I hope it's a severe sprain and it's not a tear.
Yeah, that's my concern. It's a tear. It looks like it's going to be multiple week injury,
Yeah.
even in a best case scenario. But if it is, let's just say it is, and best say 4 weeks, even 2 weeks, even 2 to 4 weeks. Do you move Mekhi Becton the left tackle?
I think you do. I think you have to because I know Stout doesn't like to do multiple moves, just
Yeah.
to put one in it. And this is no knock Fred Johnson. I think Fred Johnson's done a good job for being put in there. I just look at the teams they have on their schedule upcoming. And even though like the Giants I mentioned, they get after the quarterback. They're a good pass rushing team. They really are. So and especially with Brian Burns, he's going to sit on that side. So I look at Brian Burns, Trey Hendrickson, and the Cincinnati Bengals. They may not be doing as well as they normally do, and they're underperforming on that side. But he's still a dangerous guy coming off the edge. He got that as well too. And granted, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Jaguars, who knows? But you look at that, like, all right. You look at that, and I'm like,
Poor Tony
Becton.
Khan, my buddy Tony
Oh,
Khan.
that's Tony. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's going to
Yeah.
be focused more on AEW now after seeing the way
Yeah.
that team's playing lately. But you look at that and I think, all right, yeah, at least for that short term stint, and then you can move back that way. Because I think when you put Steen in there, if you leave Becton there, I'd rather have Becton on the outside and Steen in there at right guard. I think that's a better combo.
Yeah.
Just for what you're going to face than seeing Fred Johnson there and Becton on the inside on there.
Yeah, I agree. And real quick, I not to play doctor, and I'm not a doctor, and I don't believe you two are either. Worst case scenario here could be bad though, right? I mean, if he did tear his hamstring, we're talking multiple 4 or 5 month injury. No.
There's different grades of tear. When I
Yeah.
covered Randy Moss, he had a
Yeah.
slight one. He missed like 4 weeks.
I mean, I looked at the way that Jordan was walking, and I'm like, AJ Brown missed.
If it's a complete
weeks.
tear, yeah, then you're talking like what you're saying.
Yeah,
But there's
well,
levels. There's levels to it, as there are with most things. Randy had a slight tear and was out for a month, so even a slight tear, and that was the first game he ever missed when he tore his hamstring. So, yeah, it's a pretty significant injury, and we hope for the best with Jordan Mailata. But yeah, I can't see any way it's not at least multiple weeks. And then you start talking about Dallas Goedert. If Dallas Goedert has more of a traditional hamstring injury, if that's an AJ situation, he might miss 3 weeks.
Right.
So there were some significant. Did see Slay after the game. He was talking with his wife and Mike Quick a little bit, and he seemed pretty good. So hopefully he escaped without anything terribly serious. But we'll see. Obviously, the Eagles are going to keep it close to the vest because they always do when it comes to injuries, as long as possible. But defensively, I don't know what to make of it, but it was a pretty good outing. And for me, it started with Cooper DeJean and why the heck it took the Eagles so long to pull that trigger, Chris Franklin.
I think, well, the nickel's I know it's a tough spot, So I think they're trying, especially if he had not gotten injured during the off season, I think he would have been in that spot day one when the season began. And I think it just took some time in terms of him feeling up to it, and then after that, learning the system and learning all the nuances that came to it. Because after all, he's still a rookie. No, Iowa's defensive scheme is pretty complex compared to a lot of other teams. So getting him into that one probably didn't take as long, so he felt used to it. So I thought that's where it came in. But overall, for him to be in that spot and for him to be like the Swiss Army knife way that they used him when they came into regular coverage, whether it was going and helping him stop the run and set the edge or even blitzing. And the way he looks like an effective blitzer off the edge.
Yeah.
Like there's one little tell he's starting to show a little bit, and then when he's starting to edge, like but you hope hard counts don't start to get him in terms of that. But overall, he looked, I think, for his first game, that was good. Now, once again, it comes to a matter of was that a product of Cooper and how good he can be, or is that the Browns offense? Which I think the three of us right now pretty much have a
Yeah.
good shot at least putting up some more semblance of more yards as about as they have.
I
So
think they might be better than the Giants team I watched last night.
I think that was just aberration. I don't know what I think it was an aberration. I think a lot of that too is they didn't have Malik Neighbors, and I'm sorry, to me, I know Jerry Jeudy in his past year at college. I look at Amari Cooper and what he did in the past. I just don't think they're that impactful. I think they're more
No.
names as opposed to talent itself there for it. They're still, if you had him on his team, I think Cooper would be like a 2B, 3-ish. I just don't think he's that type of number one receiver anymore. And Judy's even can do it with Denver. He's doing it now. He's not making that impact.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's kind of to me that for it. I still think that I'd have them on the roster. They want to be on the roster, but I don't think they're as impactful as they were in the past. So that's where I kind of look at that. If Neighbors comes back for the Giants, yeah, I can see him giving problems
Yeah, he's a good player. You would
Yeah.
think. I mean, he's been out 2 weeks. He's going to Travis Scott concerts. I would think he'd get through the protocol, but I don't know. He can't get through the protocol. But we'll see how they're a much better team when Neighbors is out there, at least. But I mean, they're limited. The other guy defensively, Nakobe Dean. Boy, and I just looked it up. They're not official yet, but the early PFF numbers are out there. And I mentioned he was the worst defender on the team, and everybody had a pretty good day. Otherwise, actually, Reed Blankenship didn't have a good game from their perspective. And then Nakobe's dead last again. Boy, he's bad in space, Chris.
That's like the MO on that one too. I thought his play recognition was really good when it came to some of his pursuit angles, and then when he isolated him, especially on the edge and the outside, it has issues, and that's the thing you're looking at now. Like if Devin White couldn't beat that, how bad was Devin White?
Yeah, well, I didn't
even take a shot like that. It's true.
People got to let that one go. But I think the more relevant one is, does Trotter have a chance to play, or Ben Van Sumeren have a chance to play at some point if this continues?
I think you have more of a shot to see Trotter, and even then, I have my issues in terms of coverage. He's gotten better. He's gotten a lot better because I was very concerned with him coming out of college and coverage. He's gotten better and looking like we were watching him in OTAs and then recent game, he got a lot better. And so I feel a little bit more comfortable with him there. I just don't know if you could throw him in there right now to really do that, because I still think Dean is doing in terms of getting the guys in the right spots. I think he's doing all right, and I think that's key too, because I'd rather have one person being a weak link than potentially somebody making a missed calls. You got a helter skelter, and then you just got supposed to play.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's good at that kind of stuff. I think he's smart. I think he's very instinctive. But when you get him in space, it is ugly. Yeah,
that's a bug. And it's almost one of those things where you almost feel more comfortable if you kind of had him playing the Zach Vaughn role of rushing off the edge at times, or having him being a dedicated blitzer, and then having Vaughn back in space. So I think I feel more comfortable with Vaughn right now in coverage. If they ran like a Tampa 2 style coverage, having him go back in in the middle of the field. I'd rather have Bond doing that because I know at least he's got some sort of feel at the time right now where he's doing a lot better than opposed to when you have Dean out there and trying to cover like a run back. Like the matchup next week against Taylor versus Dean kind of scares me. It really does because I can see them trying to isolate him, put him on a swing pass or some type of short screen, what have you. And that kind of the way Taylor's playing right now kind of has me a little concerned about that.
Yeah, he's a former college receiver. So yeah, he can do some things, but boy, I got to admit, I can't worry about the Giants offense.
It's something I'm trying. See, I kind of want to do this. I'll rule the question. The question I want to ask, I'll care. The question I'm going to ask today, in terms of this, is going to be when it comes to the Eagles and MetLife, because when you look at them going to MetLife Stadium, I believe Hurts is like 1-3. It could be the team too. I got to double check the stat again before I ask it, but it's like 1-3, and the last 4 times they were up at MetLife, whether it be the Giants or the Jets. It's not.
Yeah, they
It's
had
not
some bad
issues
moments.
there.
The Jalen Rager game where he dropped.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the day his dad blocked me. Yeah, I remember that because I said it was an uncallable catch. And it's like, yeah, I officially joined the club now because Monty blocked me. All right, cool.
I've been blocked for Monte. I don't know when, but for a very long time. But boy, I gave Jalen Rager a lot of flowers on that game because he stood up and went to the podium. He actually went to the podium and addressed it and answered every question. I thought that was the highest point of Jalen Rager when it came to accountability. And you say, hey, maybe this guy's starting to get it. Yeah, but he never turned it around. But
shame.
But Monty, unblock us. Yeah, we weren't wrong. We weren't unfair. Yeah.
Chris, how much can you take from this game defensively? Like, is it something you build on, or is it so hard to do that because it's like Deshaun Watson is like as inept as it gets, and they're just not a good offense, or do you see things there that you can build on and look to improve upon?
The one thing I thought was interesting when I was talking to Jalen Carter was that he said the guys learned to trust each other a little bit more in terms of like when it comes to the rushes and the stunts and that they're going to be there. And you saw the production that they got yesterday, even if it was against the Browns. So I think that's a good foundation for them to go, you know what? These stunts worked this time. All right, maybe we could try it again. They start believing it a little bit more, and the guys are going to be in certain areas. So I think that went a long way in terms of their confidence. I think it went a long ways to believing what Vic wants them to do. And so they rushed that in terms of rushing that way. So I think there's something you could take in terms of that. Everything else probably much just like, all right, nah. And I even say that after the Browns give up as many sacks as they did before they even faced the Eagles. So I think that's to me, it's the only thing. Like, all right, you got these defensive linemen trusting what they're doing, build upon that, and see if they consistently do it, and then maybe you start to get something there. I mean, also Bryce Huff got a half a sack. It's better than 0.
There we go.
It's the little things here. There. I thought he was going to get a full one. I was joking around talking to my colleagues Bob Brookover and King Steele, and I was like, I think he gets a sack today. I'll take a half. All right, glad. Yeah, all right,
I still think they might take it away from him. I thought that should have been Cooper's sack. They may look at the film and give it all to Cooper.
We set the over under right at half a sack, so he got a push, John. Which is
I hope they give it to Bryce. I hope they keep it on him. But
if anybody has him in fantasy and those IDPs and everybody see that happen, I finally got some value, and they take it away. I think he'll start hearing a lot of like glasses and phones breaking, people going to the stores to get them fixed. Like, I finally got something out of it. What's going on?
By the way, I think it was the third one in. Morrow should have got the sack, and then Cooper came in and should have got the sack and got a half a sack, and then he was the third one in, I believe.
How about the way Morrow was playing yesterday?
He was playing.
He was really disrupt. Like, between the fact, like a lot of their talents in the middle, you just need somebody outside. Williams, but the way Booker has played in the last few weeks, like the last few games. They got a lot of talent defensive tackle. Just wish the
Morrow got a good grade. You know who had the best grade on the Eagles defense? Again, not official, but Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis. But he only played 21 reps. Yeah. So a lot of passing for Cleveland. Morrow had 21 as well. It was Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Morrow Jomo. Those are your best 4 Eagles.
Smith was another one in terms of setting the edge on the run game. Like they're trying to run wide. they have that much success doing that. So yeah,
Your four worst: C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Isaiah Rodgers, Reed Blankenship, Nakobe Dean. Those are your four worst. Offensively, if you want them, 1 through 4, shocker at number 1, A.J. Brown. Number 2, Jordan Mailata before the injury. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. Number 4, Jahan Dotson. The 4 worst Eagles.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. Like, I know he had that catch, but like, is it for like the blocking aspect or route running? Because
Well,
I'm
he
looking
only
at
had he only had 22 reps. So
yeah, that's what I'm like.
but in those 22 reps, so the 4th worst was Saquon Barkley, then Jack Stoll, then Fred Johnson in limited reps. And then, shockingly, this is a shocker to me because I didn't notice that he had a terrible game. Cam Jurgens.
Jurgens got away with that on that Devontae Smith touchdown. They had the Cleveland Brown. I think I forget his name. Had a legitimate gripe for
Oh
one
yeah,
of the
yeah. Oh, he was really upset.
Legit gripe.
Yeah,
It was also,
you're right. You're right. Yeah,
the karate
he got his
with the
face
helmet.
mask pulled off. Yeah, he got his whole helmet pulled off. Yeah, you're right.
Rough.
And of course, they never showed the replay of that. So if that was Cam, that probably hurt it. Plus, he had the bad snap as well that Jalen was able to recover. But those are your early. Those were the good and the bad. AJ, the best player overall. Shocker. At C Franklin News. He's like our AJ Brown. Always
available. Always available. Not always open. Always available.
Always open.
Like that.
I say always open. NJ.com. People take it the wrong way if you're always available. You know.
Yeah, never mind. Pause. Never mind. Nah, pause. No. Like, always available for interviews. There you go. For that.
Yeah. NJ.com. Go read. Chris does a tremendous job at C Franklin News on the X platform.
Chris, thanks, man. Appreciate you joining in.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah,
thanks, buddy.
Good stuff from Chris Franklin joining us on Birds 365. John, we're coming to the end of the show. I am surprised at how much Nick Sirianni is dominating the conversation.
Even here on You're Birds surprised by that?
I am a little bit. I said on the postgame, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be the headline. I thought it would last a little bit. It's dominating, John. It's everywhere. ESPN's clowning on him. FS1's clowning on him. JAKIB is clowning on him. We're all doing it, everybody. I mean, this is, and now I start to wonder, boy.
I'm not clowning on him, but I do.
Well, you did say it was an immature decision, didn't you?
Oh, well, yeah. The yelling at the fans. I mean, that's all though. I mean, the other stuff, like I mentioned this on the postgame show last night. Like people, like if you're gonna take that 3rd and 1, he took the play call away from Kellen Moore, and he took a play call from Big Pan, and then he decided to not even tell us what it was he was about to say on a bad play. I mean, he's doing it on purpose. I can't help it. I mean, he's finding what essentially is the hot button play and saying, "Oh, that's my fault." I mean, that's what he's doing. He's falling on his sword on purpose. And Kellen Moore's calling the offense, guys. He's calling the offense.
Nick Sirianni's certainly not calling the defense. That's for damn sure.
I mean, he's calling the offense. I'm very comfortable in saying that. And you can read into that what you want, but I mean, he's snowing you if you believe that.
No doubt. John, your final takeaways. We got about 5 minutes left to go here on the show today. Jarrell is adamant. Villain Nick is activated. I like it. Jarrell, 2 super chats real quick. Vonnie says, AJ GOAT Eagle wide receiver yet or no? I don't think you can go there yet. I mean, the Eagles don't have like this crazy past of receivers. Now they got some good guys. They got
Hall of Famers. They got
Harold Carmichael. But I mean, from a yards perspective, I mean, AJ Brown's already
Stats.
probably
I don't care about stats. What I say, best ever has to do with longevity and all. And like I said, Tommy's in the Hall of Fame, Harold's in the Hall.
Tommy McDonald, Harold Carmichael, Mike
But
Quick's up there.
AJ is, and that's how I described it with AJ and Devontae. They're the most talented tandem the Eagles have ever had by far. And AJ by himself is by far the most talented Eagles receiver they've ever had. Now, it takes a little bit of longevity, but nobody, I always use the term with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and I'll use it, not term, but my phrase, my explanation. No one has ever played wide receiver at a higher level than A.J. Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles in what's still a short sample size. But nobody's played the game at a higher level.
No doubt. He is that talented, without a doubt. A couple more supers we'll get to before we get out of here. Brandon Snyder checks in. Time to draft a tight end. Only consistent thing you can say about Dallas Goedert is he will miss multiple weeks every year. That's true, John, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah, he's had some injury issues, and now we'll see. But it certainly seems like is a hamstring. That's what it was announced. If you look at that route and in fact, I was watching that play and I go, what the hell is Dallas doing? No sense of urgency to that route. And then it's because he was hurt. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. And he's going to be 30 in early January. So, I mean, they drafted him in the second round when Zach Ertz was younger than Dallas is now. So, yeah, it's fair to say they'll probably be looking to draft a tight end in the upcoming years pretty quickly.
Brian checks in. Jalen Hurts checked into a 7-step drop in that 3rd and 1 sack, but no one wants to bring it up. Thoughts?
Again, that was the play that Nick fell on his sword for. If it was a check, I know he admitted the check because it was a successful one. The AJ at the end of the game. He's checking a lot. He's checking, and they've given him more autonomy, and that's what he wanted. And that's why it should be, at least people should pause before they want to assign blame to Kellen Moore or Nick Sirianni, because sometimes it is the quarterback. I didn't ask about that particular play, so I don't know 100%, but Kellen, we'll get to talk to Kellen tomorrow. He'll get asked about that play quite a bit. You had so much with Nick, you had so much to deal with, but it'll be more about the game with Kellen tomorrow. And he certainly will have to answer questions about it. Now, he's going to try to protect Jalen Hurts as well, but I'll ask him when we get Jalen again if he checked out. I don't know if he'll answer it, but I'll ask him.
Yeah, good stuff there. John, your final takeaways, man, from this game. It was a weird overreaction Monday this week, without a doubt. I thought
it's almost the game was secondary. I mean,
Yeah.
the game was secondary to the actions of the coaches at a press conference, which is, I mean, the positive part, as I said, the NFC East is terrible. They won a football game. They're in good position. They're moving forward with another bad team, with another bad offense. They have time to figure things out, and especially offensively. They just have to clean up some things. Now, there's some concern because you're going to have these injuries to Jordan Mailata and Dallas Goedert, so that might affect things dramatically. But, with AJ back and Devontae back, that should keep getting better and better. If the quarterback can just not turn it over, if that can become consistent like it was in the past, this is going to be a pretty easy division to win. And again, then you take your chances.
I still think Washington's pretty legit. I got to be honest.
Well, I think they're the toughest challenge in the division.
Yeah,
and that's a positive because you were expecting Dallas to be much better. And they, as much as I like Jaden Daniels, he's still a rookie, and you have Vic Fangio, and you should be able to do some things that would at least confuse him a little bit. So, I mean, it's the NFL. Everybody's got tests. You know, Minnesota's probably sitting there at 5-0 going, what do we have to do to shake these guys behind us?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got tough tests. That's what the NFL is. So the Eagles have lighter tests than a lot of teams. And they should take advantage of that.
No doubt. Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. Appreciate the show today. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Big shout out to Jarrell for their support today, man. He drops another Hunter burger. He dropped one yesterday too, John. So Jarrell is out here really supporting. So thank you,
Jarrell.
Appreciate all of our super chats today, not just Jarrell, but James Carver, D. Hughes checked in with a super, Prince, M. Martine, Brandon Snyder, Brian Pumper. Appreciate all you guys. James Carver, I mentioned, Brian Garner, and Mark Valor. So appreciate all of you guys for the support today. Johnny Mac, we'll catch you tomorrow on Birds 365. All right, brother?
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Catch you tomorrow.